what's up, homies? Welcome to an ARTbopSHOW special, the Sabbatage special. Welcome, guys.
Hey,
man, how you going? All right?
Yeah, it's a good vibe, different kind of setting. So let us know how this whole thing came about. Sabbatage, Black Sabbath Tribute Band. And
wow, the one guy who could really explain that is
Playing around behind the camera, behind the scenes.
But so I guess I'm not sure if Rick was a part of it, but at least the three of us were part of the D-Day Saints. Would you say that it's an evolution from that, Baz?
somewhat
Baz,
speechless.
Homie gives a thumbs up.
Baz,
You know?
Speechless.
Kingsley,
As well
Kingsley,
as
go for it.
That's actually quite cool. I just realised there's actually 4 D-Day Saints in the house tonight.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You know, I was an A-Day saint. I was good in
That's
the
perfect.
day. Mm-hmm.
But so
So Sabbatage, well, it's more of these boys' thing to start with, as in they've started it off. So they're going to be more likely to tell you the story.
Well, if Baz was in front of the camera, he might
Yes.
say something about how I was pestering him to do more original stuff. And then he suggested doing some form of tribute band to fob me off or placate me for a while.
Relocate
but,
you into
yeah. But hey, man.
Go away.
By the way, I love the Altar of Destruction track on the D-Day Saints
cool.
album.
That's cool.
If you guys don't know, then you better recognize and check out the D-Day Saints album because that's a dope track. As well as Chill Pill by Kingsley Smith. So how did you come about after the D-Day Saints for Sabbatage?
Well, Brendan was approached first by Baz, and then I found out about, I don't know how many weeks later, but Baz was looking for a bass player, and he messaged me on Facebook saying, "Oh, hey dude, do you know any bass players?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I do. There's one right here." And it was just the perfect timing for me, man, because as you know, I was already in another band, Nightshade, playing keyboards, and
No name dropping.
Name drop!
So I was pretty hungry, pretty thirsty to get back on the bass, which is my number 2 instrument after keyboards. So
Wow.
even more so than singing, you know. I'd say singing's number 3 actually.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So, like, there's like number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like...
Goes up to about
23, 27. Riding a bike's in amongst that, isn't
On
it?
the kazoo.
The kazoos.
Yeah.
And then
Kazoos
there's
team.
Yeah, the triangle.
Ka-ping.
How about you, Rick? How'd you come about to this crazy ensemble?
It's kind of cool. I saw on Facebook how the boys were having a bit of a hard time getting the drummer situation going on. So I got hold of Kingsley and Baz and sort of put it across to them that I'll help them out and get them rolling. You know, get them rolling with a rock edge to it all. So I got hold of them and we got in there and. I remember the first night pulling up outside and I hear this vocals going, oh my God, this guy sounds good. And that was him.
You never told me.
No, yeah, the secrets pop out now. So instantly it was good. It was a good thing. It was a good thing. And I got in there, set up the gears, played along. We all gelled straight away pretty much. And that's what music's about. That's how you do it. You know, you get in there and get together, and if it gels, it gels, and it did. It was good. It was really good.
Wicked, man.
So away we went.
Wow, that's cool. So before Rick, I'm aware that you guys went through a few drummers.
Yeah. I've lost count.
Yeah. You don't need to name any names, but what was the Like, what made you land on this homie right here?
This oh,
This whole bear.
Well, it was a last resort, really. I mean,
That's all that was left.
man. I was going to say something like that, and then I just reserved it.
Yeah.
You see, I was about to interject, and then I reserved it.
It's like the bottom of the barrel. That's where you're getting to.
Deep.
It's all right. I've been there before.
seriously, folks. No, Rick. I've known about Rick since his 848 days, 25 odd years ago, and always had the greatest respect for Rick's drumming. So when Rick, we knew he was in Medusa Glare and pretty tied up with that. So we realised that it was a bit much to ask. I think we ran it by UA, but we were sort of like not really expecting anything. And then after a few weeks, you messaged us and said, "Hey boys."
When it was Black Sabbath, I was like, man, now I could do that. So I was umming and ahhing because I've got Medusa Glare going and that. But I had to have an outlet for that, for the heavier side of things.
Yeah, same here.
Which is sort of why I leapt to it, you know. As well as being with a great bunch of musos, it's just the fact that I could have a good outlet to that rock and roll stuff, heavier metal stuff, you know.
Yeah, but so Baz or anyone else who's not behind the camera, what was your inspiration behind starting a Black Sabbath tribute band?
I wanted to do some more original stuff, right? More collaborate with him, doing more original stuff. I was quite happy after Altar, so I really wanted to do something more like that, more sort of, you know, that sort of something different. Maybe, you know, basic influences could be come from all, you know, a whole lot of different musical backgrounds. Just something that worked, something progressive and interesting, and something like a platform for, you know, like social conscious lyrics and that sort of thing like that. But anyway, he wasn't into it.
I feel the same way, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. But he's suggested doing a tribute band, and just it's sort of a few ideas went through. There was Maiden, Purple, Priest, but that's not really. Yeah. And then Sabbath, of course. But Sabbath is sort of more of an economical format. You've got, you know, it's a 4-piece. Well, the main way, I suppose it's. I guess it's usually seen as a 4-piece band anyway. Yeah. Easier to get together. Baz already got experience doing Sabbath tribute. I've done quite a bit of it over the years with different bands, and I'm quite familiar with Sabbath, different eras of Sabbath. You know, Ozzy, Dio, Gillan, Martin, Glenn Hughes, Ray Gillan, everybody sort of had a go on the vocal department. And, so, yeah, in the end, we sort of threw the idea around a bit and sort of stagnated for a while. Nothing happened. Talked about it again, and we decided to throw the word out there for other members. And, yeah, it sort of started to come together quite quickly. We had a few jams with this other guy for a while. We had some other drummers lined up and everything, but yeah. And Rick came along and I thought, yeah, he'll do. So
He'll do.
Actually,
got there on that part.
Truth be told, he's a perfect fit, man.
Couldn't
ask for a better drummer for the Black Sabbath.
Oh no. Yeah.
I could ask for one.
But no, so like I kind of wanted to get into like the choice of Black Sabbath tribute band philosophically, at this point in your guys' careers, because I know you guys have had very accomplished careers in your own disciplines. So what made you say yes for this project? Because I mean, like, you know, I know I'm only 24, was born in 91, so I missed the classic era of Black Sabbath. But I do know that they've helped influence metal music and, like, you know, all the good shit and the bad shit that came after. So what made you guys say yes, Rick?
That's you're right. That's where it come from. The Black Sabbath was a bit of a good backbone for a lot of the harder music. So for me doing it and that sort of thing, it's the most excitement, like I said before, is about finally playing a harder edge music that I've wanted to over so long.
Yeah.
You know, with doing bands, you've got to be in a position where you are equal to the band as an equal input, but you're not stuck on your own variety. You're there to join up and make a music. So to come together and do a Black Sabbath thing, for me, on my part, is a great thing, because I've finally get to hit the things harder, the drums harder, and feel that hard edge, where some of the other things I've had to do in a different vein, but still a great vein. But so for me, it's getting that harder edge coming through. You know? That's what I like about it.
How about you, Brendan, on the vocals?
Well, I've most of my life been into rock, hard rock, progressive stuff from through the 70s and 80s, that sort of thing. I liked Sabbath a bit when I was really young, because I grew up listening to it in the background, but I probably really got into them more so at about 13, because I'd heard a bit more of them through sort of middle school and then got into Dio around that time, because it was sort of just after he'd sort of come into it, and it was another sort of era of Sabbath, and I really liked just sort of very characteristic voice of Dio over Ozzy Osbourne. I always sort of liked them from there, really, and I also something I've always liked about Sabbath over a lot of other heavy rock and metal bands of, various parts of the rise in the genre to how it all sort of deviated off into others, was they tended to write about real issues, social issues, what was going on in the world, societal things, whereas a lot of others were, on about, sort of hedonist type stuff, shagging and drinking and
good stuff.
And drug taking and all that. But I mean, Sabbath does a bit of that too, but it's just not, they just don't, they don't basically make that the majority of their lyrical content, whereas Sabbath was generally a lot more to do with personal and social issues. So that's another thing that sort of rings true with me, because that's something I like doing too with writing.
Mr. Audio Storm, what attracted you to this Black Sabbathness?
Well, it was perfect timing for me. Like, not only was I hungry to get back on the bass, but it was just amazing synchronicity in my life, because I'd been getting back into Sabbath for the last 2 or 3 months before Baz contacted me.
Right.
And I was particularly getting into the Dio stuff, like those concerts that you've got on DVD, at Wacken and City Hall. I think
City Hall,
concerts, man. And obviously Dio had passed into legend over the last few years, because he's passed on. So I mean, I was a Dio fan back in the early 90s, not as early as these guys, but then again, I'm not as old as these guys.
What are you saying?
But Mob Rules, the album Mob Rules, was the first album I got with Dio, and when I heard his voice, it was like, holy shit, man, that guy, he just, you know what I'm saying?
Took it to another level with the Sabbath, didn't he?
I mean, there was Gillen, there was Plant, and there was Hughes. I was a big fan of Hughes, but then Dio came along, and it's like, holy shit, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Holy diver!
So, cut a long story short, perfect timing for me, you know? It was just, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that I think the last special that we had, we talked about your participation in Nightshade.
Name dropping. Oops.
Nightshade. So is this complementary to Nightshade, and how does this fit in with your whole... Because I know you guys are performing with Nightshade.
Yes.
Opening for them on the night.
It's going to be a bit busy night for me.
Yeah. So
Pressure's on, Kings.
So what's the insight into that?
Well, we've done a bit of match fixing on this one. We've match fixed. We got a bit of something up Kingsley's sleeve beside his arm, and
had to
he's
sort
going to
out
fault
the
a few
conflict
keys
of
or something
interest,
bad.
you know, so.
Yeah.
Poke somebody in the ribs with a guitar string. And,
Depends if that money comes through, man.
that's right. It'll come through, don't you worry.
Check your account.
I'll check my account tonight.
Refresh.
Refresh. That's right. It will be there, Kings. Don't worry.
But yeah, man. Open to you.
Oh, what I forgot to mention was, I don't know if this is going off track, but I was a mettler from real early days as a teenager. And it's a genre that I've still listened to over the years, but I hadn't performed for almost 2 decades, you know.
Wow.
And when I did it 23 years ago, I was bass player, so it was natural for me to come back, even though I've been playing bass in many other bands since. But it was kind of like Rick, you know, just that hunger to get back into the harder stuff that came from my roots, you know. So.
Oh, wicked. So like, this is maybe getting a bit too deep, but I think we're good enough to go into that. Going back to what Brendan said about the lyrics and being socially conscious, I find that the older genres of classic rock and metal, even though the people writing the lyrics were fucked up as all hell, that was not the focus of the content or even the music. If you look back at the Doors, Morrison was high as fuck on acid most of the time, but you rarely hear, like, I don't think he ever mentions acid in his lyrics. He's talking about, like, you know, the Vietnam War and all other sorts of poetry and social issues that were going on at the time. And I find that so much more attractive than, like, you know, I hope you don't mind, but the modern hip-hop-esque genre, which deals with the surface of getting fucked up.
Shake that booty.
Yeah, dude, shake that booty. Like, you know, I'm doing this line of coke. Like, you know,
There's no heart to those songs.
Yeah, man. Like, I've been getting fucked up, this and that, and this is the extent that I go. But
you see, those guys let themselves get fucked up. And it didn't have to be about saying about it. There was other things that meant everyday doldrum, you know. They don't have to go talking about drugs. They're doing them, and they're letting the drugs talk through the music. The music was doing it. You know, the lyrics had so much going on in them that it didn't have to talk about drugs. It's just a nice floating mind that's got a great thing going about it. It's not just talking about shaking your leg and booty stuck on sort of things, you know. That's all.
They did
That's
have
all
a
they
lot
can
of,
think
man.
about.
Like
They had heaps of booty.
yeah, man. From what I've read, man, those guys.
There's booty everywhere, man.
I know.
Think I'm touching my booty. That's right.
It came off the back also of the 60s hippie flower power movement too. So there was a lot more of a sort of social conscience with the young. And at that time, you know, there would be at a concert that would host the likes of Black Sabbath might also have a band like Led Zeppelin or a folk band or whatever. There wasn't.
The Who.
They didn't have. But a lot of the people would basically be happy to see a lot of these different bands, whereas now concerts are much more genre specific. You know, if you go into a metal concert, you're going to see X amount of metal bands or rock bands or mathcore bands or progressive bands, whatever the hell style it is.
Yeah.
Back then, you could throw, you know, like, you know,
You could have all those blends of things together.
or Joe Cocker or whoever at the same
man,
concert.
but like even like Hendrix, like, you know, despite him being from that era, he was never like, I don't remember one spot in his lyrics where he was like, yo, I'm getting fucked up, I'm doing heroin and acid, you know. It was about
Gloria.
Purple Haze.
Purple Haze.
But that was said in a more
Haze.
abstract way.
It's a different way of saying it.
Yeah, man.
And his version of Glory refers to, well,
The thing
Getting high
is,
and
all they did was they had drugs to let out everything else they had going on.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's that much drugs. All these guys and rappers want to do is talk about that and what it gets you, what it gets you. It's weak. There's nothing to it.
The message of musicians today, like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the likes of a lot of hip hop and rap and whatnot like that, but
I'm
a lot
not
of
either.
people, well, people I've known over the years are into that, and they're into, maybe have more of a openly eclectic mix of taste, I don't know, than I have, but a lot of the stuff that people have liked, I've listened to and thought lyrically, it's pretty spot on, really good sound lyrics. Nothing like, you might say it's the same sort of genre, a lot of that underground stuff, but then you look at a lot of the stuff that's more mainstream, and it's like basically goes back to that whole hedonism thing again. It's like pleasure plus for everything, bouncing around in my Escalade, smoking shrubs and
riding in my
wearing
6'4"
bling and freaking slapping
with all the
twerking
bitches
asses
saying.
and shit like that. And it's like, that's cool, whatever. But the fans, the people who are into that stuff are mostly, piss broke, supporting that shit. It doesn't even say anything. It's got no heart, no soul, as Rick was saying.
Yeah.
It's just shit. It's just like, this could be you, on a big lotto win, or if you're like one of us. And it's more or less the same crap regurgitated over and over with a few different beats or whatever.
And that's my disappointment with this era of music, if you want to call it, is that the mainstream is just dealing with the surface or even over. While I feel that a lot of the people in the 60s or 70s, even though they were getting so much more wasted than any of these people today, they were talking about real things that were going on in their personal life, disguising it as poetry or legendary guitar riffs, for example, Hendrix, and even Ozzy, man. Like, I was listening to, I'm not sure if it was Vice or some other outlet, but he was being interviewed by his son. And
back in the 70s?
No. Like recently. Yeah. And his son was asking him, like, what will you do differently? And he said that if I could go back in my 20s, I would say, don't do so many drugs. But if I could go back to my 30s, I'd say do more drugs. But if you look at the output from them as Brendan said, like they were talking about really socially conscious and spiritually conscious.
The thing is, every band was doing it then. It wasn't just, there wasn't really, you couldn't say there was genres to things in those days. There was rock music in it entitled a lot of different acts, you know, like we were saying, Joe Cocker and Hendrix sitting with Black Sabbath and different things like that. It wasn't until later that they get put into their categories of the gods of heavy metal, the Joe Cocker Souls type thing. You know what I mean? So,
right,
but every band had a poetry to talk. It had a lot of things to talk about, wars and stuff like that, different ways of contemplating
and Vietnam
the things
was
of
still
wars.
going at the time.
So they had all that
thing. Forming
things.
new genre too. A lot of what they were doing was forming a lot of new genre. The likes of Sabbath, Purple, Zeppelin sort of started forming the foundation for the, you know, what was to become the new wave of British heavy metal, and
there it goes, and it keeps circulating from that. You know?
Yeah, and
but they all talk
progressive rock bands,
true things. Smoke on the Water, talking about a particular incident. So it's not like the songs of today that you can't really pick what they're actually talking about, or set their butts or shaking something. You know, these songs talked about things, harder things, you know, and then music developed around it, you know. If it was a sad thing, they get a bit of depth to it, you know what I mean?
So it, like, the content kind of was a lead in to the music, would you say? Or the emotion behind...
You could say that, definitely.
Yeah, like War Pigs, definitely.
War Pigs is based on that sort of thing, war, you know, and different things, you know, basically the song titles tell you what it's going to be about.
The other thing, actually, I just remembered about Black Sabbath's evolution from the early days was that their first album, self-titled Black Sabbath, and the title song was, as I've heard Ozzy kind of describe it, like taking horror and putting it into music, and that was kind of a new thing back then, like Black
scaring
Sabbath.
it up a bit.
Oh wow, that's a very interesting observation, because
when that song came out, Black Sabbath, you guys have probably heard all the stuff.
We were teenagers by then, man. Thanks, Kings. We were well and truly up there.
It was just a glint in the...
just this little thing like this.
I was 30 years away from being born.
Well, that title track introduced the diminished fifth, and that for years was a band progression in music, because it was, you know, it was considered something like the devil's progression or something, you know, to
the tree tone.
Oh wow.
So they added that in. You know, it comes in right at the beginning of the music, so it gives it a very sort of airy horror theme already. Oh yeah, and with, you know, without having an orchestra to really emphasize that, you know, with a lot of harmonies, just a very simple rhythm section, but creating that spooky, airy sounding piece of music.
Yeah, man, and it's very interesting that you mentioned the first album, because I was in my research for this interview, like, you know, listening to Ozzy talk about the first album, and they said that, like, you know, that we basically just wanted to be recognized, and we just started writing weird shit.
It sounds good.
You know?
Yeah, because they kind of wanted to get away from the blues rock stuff, like with their... What was their name before Black Sabbath?
Earth,
yeah.
Well, they had a few names, but Earth was the one they had before Black Sabbath. But,
and so when they coined the name Black Sabbath and they put that album out, it was kind of like trying to get away from the 60s blues rock that Jimi Hendrix was doing and Cream had done.
Put a bit of sinister to it.
Yeah, some like dark edge.
Change it.
Yeah,
Change it
and the very name itself, Sabbath, is a Jewish holiday.
Mm.
And like the Black Sabbath is something.
Oh, it's
Like it's like Dark Christmas. Like it's
Dark Christmas.
Well, Sabbath is just the day you celebrate different religions have a Sabbath. It just depends on which is your holy day, is your Sabbath day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, they based that on a film that was popular at the time. The name Black Sabbath was
Headless
Boris
Horseman.
Karloff, I think. Boris Karloff or something. Was it? One of his films that was playing at the time.
The Headless Horseman type thing, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was cool.
It was just called Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Get it right, man.
But I mean, I mean, they started off talking about a few personal things. It was still a bit bluesy, and then they had some of the dark, more arcane sounding things with the likes of Black Sabbath itself. Then NIB sort of throwing a human perspective into Lucifer, and from a human perspective, and then after that they started to become more concerned with social issues. But in saying that, their second track, which didn't actually make the album but it made a B-side, it was very much a social issue song. But it didn't make the actual main album. But it's a great track, and it talks about like things like the space program. You can spend all this money on space program, but you can't feed your own citizens and stuff like that. So it actually, from the beginning, they had that really
an issue which still persists.
Yeah,
And still exists.
Well, a lot of the song content is still relevant today. I mean, no one's really talking about atomic war and nuclear war to the same extent as what was going on back then. But I mean, it's still relevant, and various other things that they might talk about, such as just personal struggles, and trying to sort of obtain things in life. A lot of those
trying
things are still
to be
relevant.
human.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
So I think, going back to their influence on or us, or for myself, is I like a lot of what Geezer Butler wrote. A lot of it is kind of, I think, from time to time, I don't enjoy it so much, but I think it was kind of a little bit too smashed at certain times when we're trying to fill up an album with tracks. But in certain albums, such as Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, there's the whole album is pretty much lyrically is really really well done.
Yeah, looking forward to playing some of those songs later on from that album.
So, if you guys just want to do a quick plug about what's going to go down on the night itself.
So the gig coming up is on the 6th of December in about 10 days' time.
No, it's not. November.
Did I say something else? 6th of November, sorry. And it's a big anticipated gig at the Mount at the newly branded venue, Totara Street. Wicked venue. Wicked venue. Have you guys been in there?
Not yet, man. But I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there rocking it up hard.
Fuck yes.
Sabbatage and Nightshade.
Two wicked bands. One obviously is an iconic New Zealand band, and the other is just an iconic metal band.
It's us.
And
the other one is us. No, it's all good. It's going to be a great night. We're going to have a great time. We're looking forward to rocking it out, playing for you guys. See yous all there. Nightshade, Sabbatage. We're all good. Baz is here too. He'll tell you all
He'll be
about
there
it.
as well.
Baz will be there. He's the elusive guy in the black.
He's the dark horse.
Yeah. He will be signing in knickers at the end of the show. That's all he's got to do. That's all he has to do. And a bit of guitar work.
One thing I reckon that makes us stand out from all the other tribute bands is basically this guy here, and the fact that we can perform Dio era songs and Tony Martin songs. A lot of the, in fact, I think all the other Sabbath bands just do Aussie. Yeah.
I don't know. Mostly only heard Aussie.
But so, feel free to school me on this, because I am only familiar with the Black Sabbath with Ozzy.
Right. Yeah.
There is more.
There is definitely more, man.
There's more.
Yeah, so feel free to school me, man. Like, what's...
This guy here will school you, man.
Ozzy
School him,
Osbourne.
Brendan. School him. Tell us where it's at.
Ozzy, yeah. I mean, they had another vocalist, and they got Ozzy Osbourne with Earth. They sort of did around 10 years or so together.
Then you got to go. And then they came Heaven and Hell.
Then they sort of had drug problems and things like that, and
That was the reason Ozzy was kicked out, really. Yeah.
well, the last couple of albums, I
He'd
mean,
done a
like,
little
I don't
bit
know
of
about
coke.
what other people think, but I'm not a big fan of like Technical Ecstasy and and Never Say Die and things like that. And I think that was sort of like it was starting to fizzle a bit creatively, and they were trying different things as well. I mean, you can't expect people to do the same thing over and over. But I just didn't really get into it that much, and a lot of people I know into Sabbath didn't like it that much. Then Dio came along and just sort of made it a bit more mystical, and in some ways the music was heavier.
But so what year would that be?
That was 80, I think. 80,
Dio
81.
came around. No, Dio was, well, he was in, what was he in? 80. It was 80 because
80
he was
between
in,
80 and 81, I think he came.
Word.
Well, because he was kind of recruited for a while before he actually came into the band. I mean, he sort of came in, contributed some ideas musically and vocally, lyrically, and then they looked at trying to reform their original lineup, and it still wasn't happening, and they were getting pressured to produce an album.
Yeah.
So they ended up continuing on with Ronnie James Dio.
he made Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules.
Yeah.
And also a live Black Sabbath album called Live Evil. Great album.
Wow.
Fantastic album.
Oh,
And
cool.
Live Evil was kind of the turning point. There was a bit of scandal behind that to do with the Ronnie Dio going in. Not that it was anyone's fault, but I think Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler turned up late for the mixing sessions for the Live Evil studio
Right.
album.
As you do when you're a muso.
As you
Right.
do, yeah.
Hey, isn't it something that we all do?
Especially when you get
It's a
to...
bad habit.
But a good one.
So, long story short, it created a rift, and Dio and Vinny Appice got booted out because...
It was basically some grief over them saying that after they'd done their recordings, done takes and tracks, and then came up with a bit of a mix, that Dio and Vinny Appice were cruising into the studio and changing the mix every evening or something, and taking off, and anyway, so that resulted in him departing, and then they had Ian Gillan on for one album and a tour.
From
Ian
the
Gillan
legendary
from
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple, yeah.
But so, just going back to, like, philosophically speaking, what do you attribute to the lasting of these bands? I mean, Black Sabbath is obviously one because they're still touring. Rolling Stones is another one. And, there's, bands that, like, you know, have had different eras going through different band members and different content when it comes to music as well as lyrics. What would you guys attribute that to?
You'd have to get along fairly well, and especially with with dealing with periods of time, especially with those bands you mentioned, because they're pretty drugged up, and so everyone's a bit different on stimulants and what have you. So years and years of that on down the line, traveling around the world together, you'd have to be able to either all join in together or just allow the others to do it while they were doing it, and somehow keep it together and stay creative.
Yeah, but but so just going back to you guys individually, I'm aware that you have been a part of various bands and things like that. What see Rick laughing right here. What has been that glue for you as far as you were part of the collective? Like, what I hope it's not too personal, but like, what holds Sabbatage together? What do you guys each see it as?
Well, it's the way I see it. The way I see it is that I love what I do for music. I love how I play music. I just love music. So my my part of it, it's just the importance to play when we're going to do something like this. It's the importance to have the knowledge to play these things, and not anybody can do it. Not you can try and do it, but not everybody can do it. And
you're right. Yeah.
Between all these guys, they can do it. We can all do it individually as people. So, and that's knowing that your teammates in the fight for rock, knowing that these guys can do it is the best thing.
I love that term. The fight for rock.
The fight for rock. And these guys do it, and so I'm happy to be a part of something that is a tight unit, and that's what it's all about.
Amen.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. It's all good.
Yeah, there's something in that. Yeah. Because I can remember being like really young and jamming with different people, and there's it'd just be something, you just throw something together and you'd attempt certain things that you heard that you like, and you want to try and replicate it to some extent, but it often wouldn't come together because you didn't really know what you're doing, and but it was like, shit, that'd be great to be able to play that. It's what an awesome track. It'd be great to be able to get a band together that, or something like that of your own, even. So as a musician, a lot of that desire based around kind of fantasy in a way was kind of drives you, and down the line you can actually end up creating a lot of things yourself they're actually quite happy with, depending on what you do, of course. But what the hell are we talking about?
That's what I'm meant to say. Where were we at, man?
No. Like, I was just like
pills.
No.
That whole fantasy thing, if I could just interject, is something that I had. In fact, and I can say this from the heart too. Prepare yourself, guys. Is ever since I was a teenager,
just last week.
Since I first, young at heart, bro.
He feels young. He feels younger now.
Like 6 years ago for me, but
that's too young. Shush, kid, in the corner.
I've just had this dream, for the last 2.5 decades, pretty much, of maybe 3 decades, of wanting to be in a band that is tight and polished and internationally
yes,
And I don't mean to say that to be arrogant or up myself, but it's just been a dream. I've never been able to get to that level. I've been in a lot of good bands, and this is the first band. And, I'll say this from the heart, guys. This is the first band I feel like I've actually got to that level that I've been wanting to, all my life.
Rock on.
Yeah.
He's rocking on.
Oh, cool.
And then there's Baz. Well, we don't know what Baz will do because he's never around. He's
Baz,
the elusive man that just hides in the
this
corner.
is a party foul if you don't pitch into this answer, man. Come on.
And
Say something.
Baz would say something like he loves Aha, and he
Come on in. Why
Barbara
he really,
Streisand.
it's Nana Muscuri actually, but we'll call it Barbara Streisand. He started off in that genre of music. And, he's come past it now. We've knocked a bit of sense into it. Yeah, you ask him a question. He needs to answer. Go on.
Just to roast this poor bastard behind the camera.
Yeah.
What,
roast him. Let's toast him.
What is your guys' impression of this dude in the band?
Oh, no.
Why not?
Where do we start?
How long have you got? No, you've got a bit of time? Yeah. Baz. Well, Baz, let's talk about Baz. Baz is very good. He's got himself together. He knows all the parts. And that's one thing. As a drummer, I should be listening to Kings in the bass department, but I've always led by guitar things first, So, and with Baz, you know that he's going to do his thing, and that is a big part of music. That each individual will do their thing, and the boys look at me over there because they know I've been fucking up every couple of days through every few rehearsals. But
fair enough.
Just divert that part.
Yeah.
Anyway. Baz does his thing, and he's very good at what he does with the Iommi cut. So we don't have to worry too much. If there's anything wrong, he'll tell you what part it is, what stage it is, what minute it is. He'll even edit it and send it to you on MP3. So it's all good. He's well and truly in control.
How about you guys?
Well, Baz is I got to say, solid guitarist. This guy wins first prize for
the
being
Big D award.
Organised, man. Yeah.
Same thing.
Good dude. Absolute good dude.
If he came and sat on the bench, but he won't play with the boys. He won't play with the boys today.
No, man. Homie's always behind the camera. So, yes, I guess we'll take a break and catch up with you guys in the next segment of this very special, very cool
Sabbatage.
Sabbatage special. What a rush. Okay.
Time to slash.
Baz, speaking of his instrumentalism, I actually performed a couple of his pieces for the Arts Festival weekend this weekend on the 24th of October.
Really? Okay, which one?
Yeah. Endangered Species, which he sent to me as Panda track number 1. And the other was his track Orcas in Orbit.
Sort of new agey, wasn't
which I translated to Osiris in Orbit. If you guys don't know, Osiris is the Egyptian god of death.
So back to that Sabbath thing.
For Black Sabbath.
Yeah. So
death.
Yeah, and
that's us.
Yeah, and the last track is the last track on the D-Day Saints album, The Electric Dragon Falls, which was very well received. And
the Electric Dragon Falls, eh?
Yeah, as opposed to How the Electric Dragon Rises, which is another story.
So, Rises is before Falls on.
Yes.
Contrary to.
Well, it has to rise to fall, Kings. You know, something rises to
Yeah.
fall.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There we go.
Now I remember my physics.
So that's how the albums go, man.
What the fuck was Isaac Newton talking about?
The fuck's in this
It
shit?
could have just fallen and then, like, risen like a phoenix, like sometime later,
Yeah.
1,000 years even.
Yeah, and so I'm still waiting on writing part 3 to that story. But so just going back to the promotion aspect of things, what are your guys' opinion on the impact of social media on promotion and marketing as it comes into play nowadays?
I think it's good because it's something that's accessible to everybody now, even to the device that they carry around in their pocket. But the problem is that it brings with it so much other fluff and other material and options even that you could, something that could be really interesting and appeal to a reasonable demographic might get lost in the wash, because there's so much
Right.
else out there being promoted through those same channels.
Word.
But it's like selling your car. You can, put your whatever out there, and it doesn't get to the so many people that you've had in your crowd or whatever. It gets down to Wellington and gets down to Dunedin and gets right up the top. That's the social media thing. That's the bonus of it.
Is like kind of reaching outside of what you would normally have.
It'll always get you outside of where you're based.
I think
whereas the old days you had to get out and perform there for them to see it.
Word.
Perform there for them to see it, and then somebody would talk in between, or a telephone. Saw this band. It was great.
Copious amounts.
And that's the difference. And you can flick it online. One of your mates in Wellington tells you they've seen it, and their friends too. So that it's instant.
Yeah.
It's a bit more instant than.
I think it's essential in this day and age too, anyway, because of the sales of things that have basically gone right down internationally. So that social media thing is often what makes a lot of bands, in terms of a performing band. They might not have sold a lot of albums, but they've got X amount of hits on YouTube, which led to X amount of likes on their Facebook page, and they'll turn up in random places. They might be playing to 10,000 odd people and had no idea that they had that much appeal, but for the number of hits on a YouTube video. So
Word.
it's without the sales, it's kind of a necessary medium to actually help you survive as a musician.
And then there's people in your band like Kingsley who will be drilling their Facebook page, which is what you want, with your somebody's doing it, somebody's promoting it, and there's something popping up all the time, and it's always on your mind.
On the edge of spamming everyone.
Yeah.
But that's
So what's
all
your
good.
opinion
That's all
on the
good.
thing?
It's about spamming or about social media?
About social media, man, because I know that you yourself operate Tauranga Live Music, Tauranga Hard Rock Show, or NZ Hard Rock Show.
New Zealand Hard Rock Show, Tauranga Rock.
Yeah. So you are kind of right in the middle of the
I've really
the whole social media thing.
You are the hub.
Yeah. So give us your opinion on.
Yeah, well, obviously I've really embraced social media via Facebook. And it's a fine line with spamming,
Right.
and I try to like get just under that point, but I think you end up pissing some people off.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm
Sure. Jesus Christ. But anyway,
Love you guys too.
but that's what it's all about. You got to push it like that, Kings,
You got it, man. Because like that gig that I just went out to see, I won't say who the bands were, but they're really top class bands that performed down the road at the Totara Street venue, and 20-30 people came out. and
it was a smash.
you've got to push it. And I think people out there, when it comes to music and cultural events and art and all that, people have just got to suck it up and expect it to be spammed a bit, because that's the main way that we advertise and promote our shit these days.
And if you want less spamming, you come out and enjoy the gigs, because that's what we play them for.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're not there to just put on and annoy you with. It's there for, get on out there and see it.
Get on.
Have a great time. We're having a ball out there. We love doing what we're doing, but we're doing it for you people. We're doing it for everybody, It's all about providing you with something that is... which some of you haven't even grown up with, unfortunately, but here we go, We're bringing it to you in one big Black Sabbath chunk, just like that.
Yeah.
So get off your couch potato asses and come out and experience something fat.
Yeah. Yeah. Something dope that you would not have experienced otherwise, and...
Because you can't experience that kind of live music thing on the internet. There's no substitute for it.
No, absolutely not, man. And I do agree that, there's a gap between, as you mentioned, the apathetic crowd who are kind of satisfied with their
sitting on their couches at home and plugging into the internet.
Which is a kind of experience, don't get me wrong.
That's the downside of the social media, isn't it? That you have everything.
But it just makes people less and less social people in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're
it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like, I'm watching this fantastic gig, but I'm watching it streamed at home with my pizza and my popcorn. Get on out there and get your boys together and talk all night and throw your cell phone in the bin.
Yeah, man, because nothing can substitute, as you guys said, nothing can substitute for live performance. And it's not just a music thing, man. I feel the same way about theatre.
It goes with anything, people put their energy into something like this, whether it's music or theatre or any type of performance. They put their energy in because they love it and they want to do it, and they want to project it to people that are interested in doing it. The unfortunate thing is a lot of the younger generation haven't had the introduction of it. They haven't had enough of what our generation's parents gave to us, with different types of music. Everything was so much more relaxed, so much more, there wasn't much to do, so you had just this playing and you had that and you had your TV. But it's a less complex world it was, and even in our world, but the kids of today haven't had enough of it. And,
Brendan, I feel that you're eager to pitch in.
Oh yeah, was thinking about saying something serious, but I was also thinking.
What, you're hungry too?
I was also
thinking
about taking the piss out of Rick when and calling him an old prick or something. Like when he started off with these young people today, rambling about old bastard, and he's got the number on his passport to prove his age.
It is. It's a terrible age.
But so, anyways, continue.
I know that was it, really.
But
there's a good, the social media thing. Like it is essential now, but by the same token, it's you can get anything streamed into your computer and run it through your sound system and stay home instead of going to a gig. But it's like, maybe waxing a little bit on what Rick was saying with no comparison to a live thing, because the energy that's put into it by the individuals and the units, they gel. But it's like there's a certain amount of energy that comes out that you only experience if you're standing in front of a unit doing that. And by the same and it's sort of like as a reciprocal thing, you know, the if you're the performer and you're up there doing it and you're not really sure, you haven't really gauged the feedback of the audience so much, but if it's really positive and there's a lot of good energy coming your way, you really soak it up, and it just sends your adrenaline over the edge, and just for the whole time you're playing, you're charged with this, with the endorphins.
So the truth comes out, really. We want you guys to come along because you're our drug.
Absolutely.
No,
Well,
that's part of it.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's that
I totally get that, man.
cohesiveness between the audience and the performers that you only get through seeing it live, not streamed and through social media.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I, as the godforsaken member of the younger generation, I have enjoyed great things through streaming on YouTube that I was simply not alive for.
Oh yeah, well
That's all right. You can do that.
Yeah,
as long as you are
Like-
listening to that good stuff.
yeah, man. Like the MTV Unplugged set of Nirvana.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and like other things in similar vein, but the gigs that I have been to that are live right here in this town, and you get to stand in front of the amp and experience the vibes, you cannot replicate that experience through any form of second-handedness, whether that be like no matter what kind of speaker system screening setup you have, you cannot replicate it, man. And
That's right.
yeah, absolutely. And just being a part of the audience and feeling that energy and giving that energy back. You guys talked about it a little bit. So you guys have had more experience in the reciprocation of the energy between the performer and the audience. Would you guys like to talk a little bit more about that? Like, what is that like? Whether, like, you know, if it's 20
it's crazy.
people, 50 people.
The thing is, man, when you're playing and that you've had your sound check through the day and you come in and you're hyped up from adrenaline out the back, you're getting ready to do it.
Right.
And then you get up there and do it and you hit that first chord and it's so loud and heavy and
Yeah.
that is power in itself. That's power just like that. You feel the live thing. That is live. It doesn't matter how
like
many
that,
times
yeah.
you've rehearsed it.
That's the
right.
power.
That's right there. And for me, sometimes I can't see the audience. It doesn't matter if there's 5 or 55 because I'll look at my bandmates and I'll go with that. That's what I'm there to have the fun of what we know we're doing. You know?
Right.
You know, I'll just sit there and play my gig, and that's what it is.
Word.
You know, it's a beautiful thing, man. The energy of playing and putting it out is just as much energy as you guys feeling it coming at you. You know, it's just as much power and fun for us to do as for you to receive it. You know, it's like that.
It's like that energy. It's like a sixth sense that you tap into it, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think that's the problem with a lot of the cyber zombies that are plugged in all the time.
Yeah, like, or just like, I was thinking in terms of the layers of mediation. You know, if like, just take, for example, you are seeing a band live and all the sound is all up in your face, all up in your veins, and
It's just vibrations, man.
everything
It's
that
just
comes
like-
in between. Yeah, but so imagine if, like, in terms of layers of mediation, that is being captured through a sound system, which is plugged into a camera, which is uploaded onto a social media site, which is coming through
It's just been digitized.
headphones, to the person who's listening to it.
Oh,
There's just so many,
stripped of
yeah.
all energy, man.
It always will be. Even a CD's stripped of energy going straight into straight into a computer. It's stripped of its warmth and that sort of thing. There's
What's
nothing
your
beats
opinion,
it.
Brendan?
We're still sort of going off that energy thing, really, aren't you? From live energy thing. Well, like even like the difference between like the loss of overall sound frequency going from a record to a CD. I mean, there's a noticeable change in that, and so obviously taking
And
a live experience, but then the actual live experience is just whole.
Live's
other
always
levels of
better.
energy.
Of
People
course,
haven't.
man.
A lot of people that once again the age thing, but a lot of people haven't experienced something that's got power like that into it, have they?
No, abso-fucking-lutely, man. Because
There's some shows here and there shows, but it's not powerful
because
like rock music.
as you said, the experience of vinyl, which I heard through its setting in the States, as opposed to what came through in the MP3. That is so many layers.
That the MP3s
That-
compress them.
Compress it, of course.
Yeah.
And that does not even compare to live, because I have just as a personal performance experience, experiencing the D-Day Saints Electric Dragon Rises through MP3 and performing it live. Holy fucking shit, that is
Two different things, right?
yeah, so different. Right, Baz?
That's right.
Well, Baz
Motherfucker.
plays in a pink tutu on one of them, doesn't he? And he doesn't wear it on the other one, isn't it? Is that the difference or what?
Baz, you care to pitch in on that observation?
Or is it
Really bad visual.
it's the stockings? I can see it. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
The fishnet stockings?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the difference. He will do it.
Yeah, but that's all good. But so, no, I totally understand that. So, if you guys want to experience, like a Black Sabbath tribute band right here in this town, tell us about what goes into about the local scene here, as you guys have experienced it, as opposed to internationally, and where the whole beast is going towards, and what you guys are doing, which I think is very old school and unique.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're taking, and just to follow on from the live experience thing, we're taking Black Sabbath off the CD, off the vinyl, and we're bringing it, absolutely bringing it in all,
Yeah,
the definition of that word.
alive.
Alive, bringing that live energy and fucking
Right.
skull fucking you
I
guys.
like that. Skull fucking.
You fuckers.
Yeah, but playing live, especially with something that can sound pretty tight, and you are probably the best or worst critic, so that when you do actually throw something together like that, and that it sounds good, and having had past experience before playing live, there's that anticipation of thinking, with the right people standing in front of this, playing tight like this, it'll be magic, because that's where you sort of conjure up that energy, and then it comes back at you when the right people are there listening to it. They like it. They're giving you a lot of energy in return,
and you build that.
It's just. I don't know. It's just
Rick.
I guess it's the zenith of the whole thing. I mean, it's the thing you're gonna enjoy the most out of
that's
it
what we do it for. We do it to get out there and absorb the energy. We practice to ourselves, for ourselves, sort of thing. In certain nights, and we want to let it out. We want to let it loose, and these are the things we do it for.
It's like the end goal.
It's the end goal, But we've also got to just do it for ourselves, regardless of what's happening. It's great to have thousands of people or some people, but we've got to do it for ourselves. As in, we love this. If there was nobody there, we can't just go, well, let's just fuck off.
Yeah.
We just play it like we do at rehearsal, right? Let's do it for ourselves, man.
Fuck yeah.
And rip ass.
Yes.
That's what it's about. I don't care about so many.
Nobody's there at all. I think we can let ourselves off.
Of course, but there's a couple of people just coming out of the toilet.
No, man. No.
Oh, crap.
You guys got to be there, and it's going to go off. It is the right kind of energy. So, just to, I guess one of my final philosophical questions is that, a lot of gigs that I've been to locally is that, and it's kind of been clear going through the apathy of the crowd that
they don't rock.
Yeah. Well, that the people that need to be there will be there. And those that don't deserve to be there. What is your opinion of that? Because, just...
Yeah, you fucking said pretty much what I was thinking. I mean, if you guys don't turn up, you're missing out. But you also don't deserve. You don't deserve to be there. No. Seriously, we want you there, but,
But if you can't make it, then...
there is a next time.
Yeah.
And it'll be coming soon in the new year.
We're sorry. Right?
He's not sorry. Baz isn't sorry.
No, but so
Baz is not sorry, man. Baz is not sorry.
No remorse.
We are, but Baz isn't.
But
I can't really tell from here.
You can tell. Look at him smile. He's like he's got his devil horns.
Yeah, man, and he's trying to focus the camera to make sure. But so honestly, what do you guys reckon of that kind of philosophy? Is that I know that just going from the TGA and the larger Bay of Plenty crowd is that it's this kind of alt rock, Black Sabbath tribute, heavy metal gigs. It's not the cup of tea for
a
lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. We're putting all the tea brews out there to see. We're just one of those little bits of tea. You can taste what you want.
There's still a lot of people who like hard rock and metal, and I think a lot of people attribute a lot of where the various genre of that sort of thing has deviated off into these days, but do attribute it back to bands like Black Sabbath. But we're not Black Sabbath. But we're a tribute thing. It's it also the span, the lifespan of that band. The potential for a pretty sort of broad demographic is there. I mean, there's a lot of people in their 60s or whatever listening to it. There's people in their 20s who listen to it.
Yeah, because Black Sabbath themselves have been around for 45 years. So the world is.
That's such a
changed.
ridiculous timeline.
Yeah.
You know, because most bands from the 90s, I don't even fucking remember.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean?
But I just gave you all my Poison albums the other day, man.
right.
You should be right now, man.
But you're right. So, homies and homiettes? Juggalos and
Chicks.
juggalettes?
Chickles.
Yeah. Come along and come one, come all, because this is going to be something special that is timeless and is something that is going to be very unique to this town as well as the larger BOP as far as the resurrection of old soul and
It's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night. We're really looking forward to it. Nightshade are really going to be looking forward to it too.
Yes, sir.
So come along. Baz is looking forward to it. Brendan's looking forward to it. Baz is over there somewhere. He's
all right.
serious down there. Get the fuck up, Baz. We finished go fucking in.
So, any final words before we end this part 2 of the segment? Rick, we'll start with you.
No, there's nothing. I'm hungry still.
Are we wrapping this?
Yeah, we're wrapping this up.
Cool.
If it's a kebab, I'll eat it before you wrap it.
Yeah, right.
So rock and roll kebab, ladies and gentlemen.
Rock and roll, full of herbs and spices.
Looking forward to a good gig, and hope to see people there enjoying themselves up the front and getting into it. That would be ideal.
DJ Kings.
Yeah, well, just for a final word,
You ain't got any.
I mean, I sincerely believe and know that it's going to be a great night. I mean, you've got Nightshade, iconic New Zealand hard rockers Nightshade, and you've got one of the finest, if I dare say, one of the finest Black Sabbath tribute bands. And
as opposed to anything you ever heard before.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to deliver on the night. I'm really stoked. I've been in a lot of bands, as you know, and this band is happening. So, it's going to fucking rock. What can you say?
Fuck yeah,
What we can say is if Baz can just walk towards us a little bit. Come around here, Baz.
Do a final promo,
just
man.
one
Come
last
on.
one. Come
Have
out
a
here,
final
Baz.
word, man. Come on.
Just one shot that Baz will be in.
Put a photo of me in.
Oh, fuck you. Get the fuck around here, dog.
So Baz motherfucking Mantis does not want to step away from the camera, from behind the camera, but if you do want to catch him and
he'll only be hiding behind his guitar.
yeah, he'll only be hiding behind his guitar on the night.
Bloody homo.
And
Might have a camera attached to it as well.
Yes, sir.
At the end of it,
And yeah, man, come along, come one, come all. Sabbatage and Nightshade. What's the date and time again?
6th of November. Doors open at 7. And just bring along yourself, your mates,
your family.
And your rock and roll attitude. That's pretty much
Yes, and your rock and roll attitude. You can check out Sabbatage on Facebook.
Indeed, yeah.
On, what's the address?
What's the address?
I'll put it in the bottom.
Yeah.
Just type Sabotage.
Here it is.
Here it is.
Oh, yeah, wherever that caption is.
Check out Sabotage right here. And
just above my crutch.
Brendan Mayer, rock and roll vocalist. Can we check you out on SoundCloud and like? What's your plug?
Yes, you can. Under my name.
Brendan Mayer.
Yeah.
On SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
No, we can't rap. We're gone.
Rick, when can we find your music?
You can find my music on Medusa Glare.
Okay.
Stuff. Kingsley.
At Audio Storm. Just released my album. So, yeah, fuck.
Show us your tits.
Show us your tits.
Bez is
We'll
saying
be back
cut. Bez is
next
saying
time
cut.
with another special. So this is Dive Out, the host of the ARTbopSHOW, signing off. And be there or be square. Be glad. Be Medusa glare. Rock and roll until we're there.
Weird, man.
Peace.
Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun.